Hi everybody, it's Heidi Hope and it's FAQ Friday. I just wrapped up a newborn session and I am ready to get to all of your awesome questions this week. So let's get started. I'm missing Brooke in here today. All right, our first question is from Katie, and she asks, you have often talked about how your business took off very quickly and you paid for your first camera after 1 month. What are the 3 things you attribute to your business growing so big so fast? This is a great question, Katie. So I think, let's see, 3 things. Number 1 would be that from very early on, I really wanted to define myself as an artist and an innovator. So I tried to really set myself apart with work that was different from the work that was out at the time. Now, when I started almost 6 years ago, the industry was a little different too, and newborn photography wasn't as popular as it is today. So I was able to really define myself within my market as being a newborn photographer without a huge amount of competition. Kind of that new style of newborn posing wasn't very popular in my area just yet. So that was one thing, and I think I've always kept that up since then too, just kind of like always changing, keeping things different. Part of that is me as an artist for my own creative fulfillment, and the other part of that is that I just bore very easily. So once I do things 100 times, I'm totally sick of it, I'm over it, and I want to try something new. So that's one. Be an artist. Number 2, I worked really hard on my marketing. So at that time when I started with my first website, I worked on my SEO like day and night to get my search engine ranking higher, so that if you Googled a photographer in my area, you would find me right away. And then I had the website that was built on the images that were markedly different from what was being offered around me. So people were finding me right away, and then hopefully falling in love with my work and hiring me right off the bat. Number 3, I would say, is that I worked my butt off. I worked so many hours and I worked so hard in those first few years. So yeah, I mean, it was like there were 3 of me, because I was doing the shooting and the editing and the client correspondences, and I was up all night working on SEO and editing pictures, and of course I wasn't as efficient as I am now because I've learned a lot along the way, but I just worked at it really, really hard in those first few years. So I don't think I could have failed, because you know, that wasn't an option. So that was a great question, Katie. Thank you, and I hope that answer helps you. Okay, next question we have from Elizabeth. What is your favorite movie? So this is an interesting fact about me. I don't have a lot of favorites. Like, I don't have a favorite song. I don't have a favorite movie. I don't have a favorite book. I do have favorite foods, I guess, and I certainly have a favorite color, which I'm sure you guys can all guess is turquoise. But yeah, I think that I'm not a good decision maker and I bore easily. And so choosing favorites is tough because I feel like I always have a new favorite for those types of things. So, all right. Next question. Heather asks, what tools do you use for in-person sales? Heather, we use ProSelect to do projection sales for in-person sales. We also use photographers' wall display guides to help our clients envision what their portraits are going to look like on the wall. We sell wall art with almost every single session, so that's a big product here. And we have lots of card samples from our lab, WHCC, and we have organic bloom frames to show them, and we have canvases hanging, so like really having that tangible product I think is definitely a selling tool as well. Okay, next question. I like these questions this week, really different stuff. You guys are good. Okay, Adrian asks, with your natural light studio, what do you use when it's extremely overcast or very dark and gray outside? I'm in Arizona, so we're spoiled with too much sun, but it's monsoon season where it can get extremely dark very fast outside. I have a D700 and the noise isn't too bad when I bump up the ISO, but I still don't prefer to go past ISO 800. So I actually am familiar with the D700. That's the first camera that I started using as a professional. And then it was the D3S and the D4. And so we definitely have lots of dark days here in New England. And it depends on the type of session. Like when I'm shooting just a baby or a newborn, usually it's fine because I can shoot really wide open. And I'm not afraid of high ISOs because when you're using the D4, I can bump my ISO up. I mean, there's been times where at like 6400, but I'm shooting in RAW. I'm making sure my exposure is, I would rather bump the ISO up as long as I nail my exposure, because as long as you're not doing much post-processing on the back end, you're really not going to bring out that digital noise. If, on the other hand, you're shooting at high ISOs like that, and then you're underexposing or things, and then you have to do a lot in Photoshop, then you're going to continue to add to that noise the more and more that you do to it in post-processing. So I'm shooting in RAW, I'm nailing the exposure, and then I'm using in Adobe Camera Raw, or if you were using Lightroom, you could do that too. When you're in your RAW processing, that's when you want to you want to reduce your noise there. So I don't do it in Photoshop, I do it in Adobe Camera Raw. And really, you can't even tell that it was a noisy image. So I'm very comfortable using those high ISOs for the style of portraiture that I do. So I hope that that answers your question. I know that dark, it can be tough, and the camera body does make a difference when you're working with very high ISOs, and I see it at our workshops all the time. So we have all different cameras in here, and like my camera, it really just looks different. We all have the same settings, everything's matched up, and a nice camera body, when you're in a low light, difficult situation like that, that's when a better camera model is gonna really shine. Okay, here we go. Next, it's from Megan, and she asks, once you fell in love with photography, how did you know you wanted to start your own business? Did you want to specialize in one type of photography, or did you want to work a little with everything and everyone? Okay, so this is a great question too. So I had a great situation when I started. I have loved photography always, like all of us, right? We all share that passion for photography. So I had that, and then I was a photography teacher. And then I took a maternity leave from teaching, and while I was on maternity leave, I really was like, maybe I'll just make some extra money on the side. My family was really not dependent on that income because we had already saved for me to be able to take that maternity leave. So we weren't planning on me making income. So at that time, I was like, maybe I can just do this on the side and make a little extra money so that I don't have to go back to work full time. But the business took off quickly, and then I needed to figure things out from there. As far as a specialty, I fell in love with newborn photography. So I was taking pictures of my own daughter as a 6-week-old, and I just was like, this is what I have to do with my life. So I guess that was a good call. And then I learned newborn photography really before I learned other types of photography. And then from there, I branched out. But to be honest with you, I don't like having a specialty. I like doing all different stuff. Like, I've been doing lots of newborn and baby stuff in the studio. I just went out to a farm last night and did a sunset shoot, and I was like, this is really what I want to do with my life. So I think that I just like to keep it fresh, and like for my own creativity, I just get bored doing the same thing over and over. So I want to just be inspired, and who knows what it's going to be, a new lens or a new location or a different time of day or whatever. I like to keep it fresh. So I didn't consciously say like I'm going to specialize in newborns. I sort of just got good at that first, and then I continued to build my skills in other areas, and as my clientele grew and got older, I started doing first birthdays, and then we started doing full family stuff, and then we were doing more outdoor stuff, and I've had to kind of learn each element of photography as my business grew, to kind of master it so that it was the same level as my newborn photography was. So I hope that answers your question there. Okay, there we go. We might get through all of them today. I'm just a quick talker. All right. Ashley asks, where do you get your bonnets from, i.e. the chunky pink one on the gorgeous blue-eyed baby girl? I love them. Ashley, I love them too. So I bought those 3 or 4, maybe 4 years ago. I'm trying to think. Harper and the white bonnet is 4 now. So it was about 4 years ago, from a company called FAAS Designs, but she's no longer making those knit bonnets, which is a shame because I would like to order more as well. So if you're out there listening to me and you want to start making those bonnets again, I can keep you in business. But I love those chunky knit bonnets as well, and they are staples at our studio, and they're 4 years old, and they're kind of pulled, and we have to use clothespins to keep them nice and tight because they're all stretched out from being used all these years. But so that is who did it, and hopefully we can find somebody who will start making them again sooner. Maybe she'll start making them again for us too. Okay, the next question is from Heather. Cake smash, is the cost of the cake included in your session fee? What if they want to bring their own cake, and who eats the leftovers? Well, who eats the leftovers is a very good question because usually it's all of us. Actually, no, I try to stay away from the cake because I will never lose the rest of my baby weight if I keep eating cake every day. But I do indulge in a little, usually I get frosting all over my fingers and my camera. So I will certainly, I'm not above licking that off. Usually Caroline eats most of the cake. Mariah has been eating quite a bit of cake lately herself. Sean will get in on the action whenever there's some left over. Sometimes the parents eat the rest. Sometimes they take it home with them. I always say we should get to-go boxes. So yeah, it certainly doesn't go to waste, that's for sure. The cost of the cake is included in the cake smash session fee, which is more than our regular session fee. So if you want just a regular session, it's one price. If you want the cake, custom cake and decor, it's another price. It's more expensive, and you can do a birthday session without a cake smash, so we could just do balloons and something cute like that. But if you want the cake smash with custom decor and cake, then you're going to pay more for that. And if they wanted to bring their own cake, that's totally fine. They're still paying that same amount for the cake smash session. If they want to bring their own cake in, they are certainly welcome to do that. Sometimes with allergies and things like that, they may want to do that. So that's okay with us. Most people don't want to bother. They want us to do everything for them, and that's what we're here to do. Okay, next question is from Christine. She asks, what is the best file size for allowing a variety of enlargements? Okay. File size, as in what the resolution is, we actually just keep it full resolution from our camera. So depending on the camera, it might be like 4,000 by 3,000 pixels or somewhere like that. And we don't make it smaller or bigger. We just leave it there, and they get full resolution JPEGs if they are buying digitals. As for crop ratio, which I'm thinking you might be asking about, we don't use a crop ratio. So I crop to be aesthetically pleasing, because here's the thing, I feel like if I crop everything to 5:7, what if they want 8:10s? And if I crop to the 8:10 ratio, what if they want a bunch of 5:7s, or 4:6s are a different ratio? And so I feel like by cropping, I don't know, why even bother? I leave everything full resolution, and the only time I crop is just because I want it to look a little bit better. And I'll usually do that crop in Camera Raw and then open up in Photoshop at the full resolution. So a cropped image isn't even smaller because I'm doing the crop in RAW and then opening it up at the same resolution as all the other images in the gallery. Great question. Okay, it's our last one of the day. We got through them all. So productive. Aren't we so productive? All right, Elizabeth asks, if you could change one thing about how you've gotten to where you are now, what would it be? Elizabeth, this is awesome. I would not change anything. Here's why. I'm not saying it was always perfect, and sometimes I definitely wanted to throw in the towel with this business. The beginning years were very much a struggle, but I feel like I had to do it that way so I could figure out a way out. And by figuring out, a way to, you know, Sean and I together, figuring out how to run this business successfully, make it profitable, and make it fit our family, and have quality of life outside of being business owners, I feel like by learning how to do that for ourselves, I'm able to help others do it. And, you know, I've said this before, but there is like not a single picture that I could possibly take that would mean more to me than when I can help another photographer. Like, teaching is definitely, I feel like that's where I'm supposed to be. I love doing it. And so, you know, if I didn't go through all of that, I don't think I would have anything to teach from. But having gone through it, now I can use that experience to help others find a better way out, find a better way to run their business, find a better way to do what they love every day. So thank you guys for these awesome questions this week. If we didn't get your question this week, definitely repost it next week on the call for questions. Next week, I will probably be broadcasting from home. I'm working on a special project, and I try to work from home to avoid distractions. So you can check me out at my home office next week for FAQ Friday. And don't forget to go to the Learning blog and sign up for our newsletter for photographers, because we have lots of fun, exciting announcements coming up that you won't want to miss. So have a great Friday, everybody, and happy weekend. Bye-bye.